you can't tell me there's not a plethora of women of color that could be doing that job. Like, and you don't have to comment on this because I don't want to put you in a precarious position going into next season. But I was so irritated about Nate Tibbetts getting the job with the Phoenix Mercury. And I told a number of former WNBA players that came on the show, like, I don't know him. Sounds like a good guy. But how in the entire fuck does a mid 40-year-old white guy who never coached women get a head WNBA job?
Yeah.
And I don't give a shit what anybody says. I am just as irritated with this, maybe not quite as much, as I am when Tom Brady doesn't speak out about Colin Kaepernick, or when Aaron Rodgers spews his bullshit and doesn't talk about Colin Kaepernick, and when Eli and Peyton Manning and Tony Romo and Troy Aikman, if all those guys had fucking taken a knee with Colin, I'm digressing, then
Yeah.
Colin would still be in the league if the white quarterbacks had actually taken a knee with him and pushed back against the white owners. And this is I don't even know how this kind of thing happens, but I'm just stating it for the record that I think it is absolute bullshit. He may be a nice guy. Like, it'd be one thing even if I got an assistant job in the WNBA, having coached women for 17 years and girls. But for someone with no experience, like what? Like you can't tell me there's not a plethora of women of color that could be doing that job. Like, no experience on the women's side. And I had one person say we need more NBA coaches on the women's side. Like, literally somebody told me that, a former WNBA player. I'm like, I didn't say anything back. I'm like, I respect your opinion. You play in the WNBA, but I'm like, we need women of color that played in the WNBA coaching in the WNBA. We don't need 46-year-old white guys who never coached women. It's bullshit. I'm sorry. You don't have to respond. Like, I know you're trying to make a roster next year or whatever. Maybe it's Phoenix. But I'm just saying, like,
they got Chrissy Toliver over there now.
Yes, that's true. But like, what in the entire fuck?
And you're not in the room. I don't know how the conversations go, but I
I mean,
think
I'm not Diana Taurasi, and I know she's coming back. I'm telling you right now, and I've said this before, if I was like, I always talk about the football references. If I was Diana Taurasi, fuck you. I'm not playing for this organization when that's who you're hiring. I just wouldn't do it. I'm sorry. I would take a stand. I don't give a fuck if I was here my whole career. She's doing a Kobe. Like, I get it. I wouldn't. I'd bounce. I'd be like, look, yeah, he's been cool to me. He's a nice guy. I met him, had a lot of great experience in the NBA. Like, we're vibing, but fuck that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just
It's
saying
hard.
that would be me. So anyways, I
Yeah.
don't want No one said anything. There was no pushback.
No.
No one said anything.
Twitter said a lot. Twitter did say a lot.
Okay, but
it's Twitter.
It's Twitter. It's X. And shout out to Diana Taurasi right up here. I'm gonna always have her in here. One of the goats. But man, welcome first-time listeners and returners to the Sports Deli. Why does Colin not have a job? How is it possible that he's been whiteballed all these years? And you know what? If Tom, Aaron, Troy, Tony, Peyton, or Eli had said this is unacceptable and kneeled with him, then he would still have a job. But none of those cowards kneeled with him. And as a result, Colin's been whiteballed from the NFL since 2016. A lot of people that have come on this show, I don't know why, they've gotten some good fucking jobs afterwards. Jim Rome in the jungle. It's right here in the Sports Deli, baby. We got some good ass karma right here. Let's fucking go. Oh man, we hope you enjoy today's show, everyone. All right, let's rock and roll. Today, I have to refer to him as Mr. Duncan.
Yeah, please, I'm very formal, Secretary Duncan.
There you go. Exactly.
Daryl Miller.
Nice, Daryl.
Oh, good morning, everyone. What's up?
Hey, if the curl, the flare, or the pop don't work, you got to go back door. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my gosh, that was crazy.
Well, it would be like a coach saying, "What are you doing?" instead of giving you the adjustment. That doesn't really help.
Thank you. That's very true. It's very true.
If you're
No.
0 for 10 and you don't shoot the next one when you're wide open, I
Yeah.
will take your ass out of the game for not shooting. I am dead serious.
No, I
With
respect
players
that.
that can't shoot, my team shoots like 8%. I'm not exaggerating. She scored her first basket in the WNBA on September 5th against Indiana, and she is now currently playing for San Martino in Italy. We're so honored on National Crime Junkie Day, and 4 months, 3 weeks, and 5 days away from the start of the 2024 WNBA season, which will have an Olympic break this year, I might add, to welcome the former Eagle and Hokie, one of 4 WNBA players in the history of the league to be born on January 5th, including Jonquel Jones and Kayla Alexander, who was also on the show, the mayor, Taylor Soule. She was an intern at Moolah Kicks, where she met founder Natalie White, who I call Natty White, who also attended Boston College. She played her rookie ball this year for the Chicago Sky, who we did have at one point Coco Wade on, Coach Wade. She was adopted by 2 white parents, played for Coach Kenny Brooks after transferring to Virginia Tech, the only African-American women's basketball coach in a Power 5. And today you will hear the rest of the story. Find her on Instagram and on X. I can't stand saying X still.
I can't say it.
And it's not a retweet, it's a repost, which is so lame. At Taylor Soule, and Soule has an E at the end of it, 14, at Taylor Soule 14. Man, welcome to Sports Daily, where everyone deserves a seat at the table. Welcome. We made it happen. Somehow.
We finally made it happen. Now, I appreciate you giving me a seat at the table, so it should be good.
Absolutely. Well, let's see what's on the menu today. So what was your first practice? Wait, when you got there, did you go to your first game first, or was it your first practice?
My first, oh my gosh. Okay, the next 36 hours were ridiculous. I literally, because I live in Boston. Like, my address is New Hampshire, but I live in Boston.
Yeah.
Like, my best friend lives in Boston. All my stuff is just like in Boston, whatever. And so I went back to my best friend's house, rummaged through my stuff, grabbed because again, a hardship contract's 2 weeks at least. So I grabbed 2 weeks worth of stuff, was not enough stuff. And I flew. The team was in LA. They had a 2-game road trip, LA to Vegas. And so I flew that night because I was like, I need to put my stuff down. So I flew that night to Chicago, landed at 10, put my stuff in a hotel, woke up the next day, 6 a.m., had a doctor's appointment because I had to get cleared. So 6 a.m., had a doctor's appointment, got cleared. Driver picks me up, drops me off at the appointment, picks up an hour later, then brings me back to the airport. And I fly out to LA. It's game day. So I don't have shoot around. I know no one on the team. I know nobody. I show up at the hotel. I put my stuff down. And I'm like, okay, bus leaves in about 2 hours. I see Ka and downstairs. And I'm like, hey, I'm your teammate. What's up? I get on the bus. Everyone's coming on the bus. I'm not trying to take anybody's spot. So I'm just standing there like this. Everyone gets on the bus. And someone's like, this is your new team. They're like, this is your new teammate. So I'm standing there and whatever, play the game, play the game, then fly out that night to Vegas. And I knew nobody. I knew of some people on the team. Dana Evans, I had played you a couple times. Ka, I know you because you're Ka. Courtney Williams, I've seen you play, you're a hooper. Alana Smith, I'd known her a little bit. So we get to Vegas and I'm like, I still don't know y'all. I don't know how long I'm going to be here. I don't know any of you guys. And I packed not enough stuff. Get to Vegas and I'm like, okay, this is my first time. I just walk the strip, just hang out by myself. I already hang out by myself. But this was really you're with people, but you actually are by yourself. You know nobody.
Right.
So that was a time. Looking back, that was ridiculous. All my parents, they were just you're having a ball. My dad was eating it up. He sent pictures.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So then it got a little bit more normal after Vegas.
No, because then when I got back, I still wasn't in the team apartment. I was like in a hotel. And so part of it was because it was like a hardship contract. And so it was me and one other person. And so the hardship contract deadline hadn't reached yet. So we were never going to be in the apartments yet. So for so like 2 weeks, I was in hotels. And I mean like 10 hotels. Because again, not many
Jesus.
hotels in the Chicago area are going to have like openings for
Yeah.
that long. And so it was like, okay, like you're in this hotel room for 2 days and then we're going on a trip. So put your stuff in your car and then come back and check into a different hotel down the street. And then I was in maybe like, it was at least, it had to be at least like 10 hotel rooms in like the span of 2 weeks. Just like stuff in my car, just hanging out, going to practice, figuring out where I am. I have an older brother who he lived like 30 minutes from Deerfield, like where we stay. And so like that was like definitely a blessing, just like
Oh yeah. Wow.
somebody that I knew out there. Yeah. It was crazy. Crazy.
Can you tell everyone how important charter flights would be for the league?
They are very important. I think my first reasoning why I say they're important is because if a team ever has to fly to Dallas or to DC, you're not getting out. Like your flight is being canceled if you're in DC. And so like that's one team already that you don't want to go to. And it's just like exhausting. Like I'm the type of person where I'm like, being able to walk is a privilege, being able to pay for a flight regardless is a privilege. Paying like that's a privilege, but also what privileges come along with that should be chartering. And so like not being able to fly out the day after a game, like or having to leave early the next morning, like we're in Seattle, we play a game, you're back at the hotel late, but you have to wake up at 4 a.m. to get back. It's like that should not be a thing. Like you're in the amount of times I'd like change my seats with like one of the vets because I'm like, I'm not gonna have you sit in row 30F like when your partner's up in 11B. So it's like I'll just take the back seat. And so it's just like the small things where it's like, okay, like we have privilege with like what athletics brings us, but also like this is a professional league. Like we're professional athletes. Like
Yeah.
how we should be treated should be like our male counterparts should be. And so that's definitely what we're striving for. And hopefully we can get to there. And it was great during the playoffs that it got changed where it was not even one charter flight, it was One Direction got changed to their Ampak. Like that should not have been such a fight, but grateful that that was taken care of. Because it's a feeling and it's like also like a literal thing. Like your body feels better when you don't have to travel. Taking multiple flights or flights at ridiculous times or just being in airports with like sick people. Like it's just not it. Like it just shouldn't be a thing. So hopefully
Well,
change is coming with that.
yeah, well, and there's no way the Power Five should have charter flights, and the WNBA doesn't. Like
I
that's just
chartered every game at Tech.
right.
Granted, we were in Blacksburg, so there was no big airport for us
Still,
to get on a big plane
I
anyways,
don't
but we
care.
chartered everywhere. It's crazy.
Crazy. Yeah. Well, it's coming. Expansion's coming. So, yeah. The other crazy part of it was like a lot of the owners said they pay for it, and they
That part I
still
don't understand. Because I think, say I was on a team and we didn't have the money, but my friend was on a team and they had the money. I'm not gonna look at my team and be like, I'm not gonna look at them and be like, hey, you can't do it because I can't do it. Like no player is saying you can't do it because I can't do it.
Well, not only that, there's a sisterhood in the WNBA where it's like, okay,
Yeah,
well, if some of the teams are able to do it right now, as long as we're working towards that, like I understand there'd be
yeah.
some like, pushback, but like just crazy. Hey, how good is Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark? Can you tell people
They
how
are pretty good. They are pretty good. I gotta give them. I'll roll my eyes a little bit, but for personal reasons. But I gotta give them some of their flowers.
but yeah, that's fine. I'll roll my eyes at probably one more than the other, and you probably roll your eyes at one more than the other because there's nuance.
Probably, yeah. Probably.
Yeah, but who's harder to guard?
I'm a defensive gal, so I would never give in
Right.
to say either one of them are hard to guard. I'd say
I mean, is it harder to like take someone away on the perimeter or on the interior, or double team somebody on the perimeter or on the interior?
I think just style of play to take the player out of the game to make their team not as well, like, functioning, I'd say it's probably harder to guard Caitlin, just because of the fact that she doesn't just shoot the ball. Like, she shoots the ball and her vision's ridiculous. So, like, it's not just you having to stop her. Like, there are some players where it's like, okay, they get the ball on the block and they're really, really hard to guard, but they're never gonna pass out the paint. So I know my only job is to make it so they can't shoot the ball. Caitlin, she might shoot the ball, but she's also looking for her teammate running the floor. And so I think that's also difficult. And she has a pull up. And I think any player that has a pull up jump shot is just difficult to guard because you're either going to let them score or you're going to foul. So I think both of them are hard to guard. I mean, I've had to guard Angel Reese, and she's strong, and she has elbows, and she uses them, and she knows how to rebound her, and she knows how to rebound her shot. So she is a tough player to guard. Definitely, there's film evidence that says that it was difficult to guard her. But I've seen Caitlin Clark's vision. One was it was the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 game, and that is just hard. Like, that's just hard. It's crazy. I don't know how she's.
Is there still a double standard with how people perceive white and black superstars?
In my eyes, no, but probably yeah. There always is. I think. What, there was a video of Caitlin shoving somebody down, like 2 weeks ago that was surfacing, and like even on that, the narrative was like, if this was Angel Reese, like they'd be calling her a thug and they'd be saying all these other things. And as like competitors, there's never that. Like, I've never been on the floor and we're talking and it's like, yeah, the ref only called that because you're this, or the ref didn't call that because you're that. It's narratives that come up on social media, and so to try to navigate that, it's not enjoyable because at the end of the day, you're just trying to compete. Like, half the time we're all blackout out there. You're just playing. Yeah. Yeah. You. Yeah. What?
As much as I love them both, I push back on Angel's, nuanced, taking it a little bit too far in the Final Four, but also giving her grace to come back. And I mean, everybody reacts in the heat of the moment differently, and I thought she did this too much. I just thought it was too much, and it was after the fact that you're already busting their ass. Like, do it in the beginning of the game.
That was my whole thing, and it was, again, I'm never gonna be like, I see race, but I never see how someone acts and it says, oh, it's because of XYZ. I think, I mean, yeah, they were winning and this and that, and hand in the face and whatever you want. I just think in that moment, like, you're winning, like, go to your team.
I mean, I wouldn't have minded, like, just a little.
I would just go to my team. That's just me.
Right.
I'm not on the floor. I don't know what's said, but I just think I'm not following somebody around to their bench after I handed them like a 25-point loss. I'm probably going over to my teammates and telling them how proud I am. But
and they both had good answers after the fact that it's about the women's game and promoting the women's game, and so that's good.
I mean, it gave attention. It gave attention to the game, and that's what we all want. So I guess however it gets there, then love it.
Yeah, and Angel, I don't know what the real reason was, but someone asked me, and I was like, look, if you look at all her NIL deals this year, I just think that she was doing so many things that Coach Kim was basically like, look, you need to take some time, and then when you're really committed to come back and give it, the attention it deserves to us and your teammates, then come back. And I don't know if it was the same kind of situation as the player that just was let go. I think that was sort of a different situation.
Yeah.
But I just felt like she was doing too many things, and she wasn't showing, not that she's not committed, but she just wasn't, I'm guessing, she just wasn't all in. And it's hard after winning it all.
What? She's 21, 22. I mean, obviously I know how I probably would handle the whole situation, but even when, just in terms of like just the deals part, like there are obligations that are brought to you for those sort of things that aren't basketball related. And so you have a schedule for basketball, and now when you have all these other obligations that are bringing in lots of money, like to be able to balance that, like regardless of who the athlete is, like that's got to be difficult because all the obligations aren't in Louisiana. I can tell you that right now.
Right.
And
It's
so where are you
exhausting.
flying to? Like, yeah. And so I think with the whole NIL thing, I think there are some great things with NIL. I think being able to have athletes like gain some generational wealth, I think is great. I think athletes like Olivia Miles, she's with this company Stackwell with um, Trevor, who is a Boston College alum. So I think like when it comes to like things like that, I think they're that's a great thing. I just think like important resources need to be implemented with athletes making all this money. Like how do you manage an athlete like Angel Reese, who's having all this attention, who's making all this money, who also has to be a basketball player? Like are we setting them up for success? Like whether you like them or not, like what are you doing to like protect the athlete and like the human being? And I think if we can do that, then I think NIL can be a good thing. But in the meantime, I think there's still a couple things that need to be tweaked out.
Yeah, well, I just think it's amazing that the bullshit ass narrative that had been going on for decades about women's sports and women's intercollegiate athletics is being debunked. Not only being debunked, but like being debunked hard and like receipts that you can't even argue at this point. And so with that being said, how and then we'll get into the rapid fire because it's been a while. It's been an amazing conversation. But how do we not realize how big Caitlin signing with Gatorade is?
I don't think I don't think even any athlete, like even myself, like realizes how big it is. I think we all know who Gatorade is, but like if you like like Gatorade's not going anywhere. Like State Farm isn't going anywhere. Like Nike isn't going anywhere.
It's Gatorade.
Like it's Gatorade. It's not no.
She's
It's
got
Gatorade.
both. She got State Farm and
Yeah.
Gatorade. Why would she go to the pros and not take advantage of
just-
that extra year next year? Like,
It's just like it's what you know. It's comfortable. The people love you. Like, why would you leave? Like, why would you leave? I would not leave. I would not leave if I were any of them. I'm staying.
I
I'm
mean,
staying.
Ayoka Lee, she's been there, I think, 7 years between all of her college years. She's in her second redshirt year and her COVID year, and that's why K-State is going to be a top 10 team.
Yeah.
You know, when you take advantage of these, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yeah. I think
Literally.
that's why I came back. Once you leave, you can't come back. Like, you can stay and not like it, okay, but at least you did
Right.
it.
Yeah.
It's like, why not stay? Why not?
Yeah.
What Utah women's basketball? Everyone's getting trucks and Jeeps. I told my friend, I said I'd get a truck. Never in my life am I ever getting a truck. But if you're gonna offer me a truck, sure, sure.
Facts.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. That's amazing. This question. Okay. So you were born in Chicago, and then you were adopted along with your younger sister, and grew up in New Hampshire, right?
Yep.
Grew up in New Hampshire, predominantly white community.
Yeah.
And so recently we've seen like a huge push in certain areas of the country to ban books. And so I know how, from my learning about you a little bit, how important it was for you and for your parents, your adopted parents, your parents, to make sure that you understood, I don't know, a lot of different spaces of history, especially your own.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your thoughts on maybe educating people that don't understand why banning books is so detrimental for so many reasons, and how it was growing up in that environment, and what were some of the challenges that you maybe faced? Today's podcast is brought to you by my TikTok shop. It is unbelievable. I have hundreds of items in there. You would not believe the array of things that I have to offer you, not only for the holidays or birthdays, but just in general. It's literally a game changer. Check it out at tiktok.com/@MikeHootner. Today's podcast is also sponsored by my Amazon shop. Check it out at amazon.com/shop/the sports deli, and you can see all the products that I've done videos on, my idea list, and my shoppable photos. I may make a commission on any of the things that you watch or see, but it's at no extra cost to you. Enjoy today's short.
Yeah. I think when you're any kid, regardless of like where you are, I think you're a little naive to kind of the outside world. Like I understood that I was different, but also until you kind of step out of like your own little town, you don't really understand like the magnitude of no, like it's just me and my other African American sister, like in a small town, like there's more people like us, like outside of just New Hampshire. And definitely credit my parents to their just like continuous education on like African American history, like my own history, like where I came from, like being open to answering questions. And I think when it comes to shutting out like resources for kids of any race, any background, to like learn about things that they can relate on to, but also things that maybe the people around them are going through. I just think it's just sad to see because I think I was reading something the other day and it was talking about um like being naive and taking away knowledge is only detrimental. And sometimes you might learn something and it might bring you sorrow. It might be a hard pill to swallow, but it can open up new perspectives where you can have empathy for either yourself or the people around you. And so I think continuously educating people is an important thing to do. And so when you see states, when you see just like higher up kind of shutting off access, it's kind of sad to see. And so you hope that even on a small scale, like in your house, like in your communities, in your schools, somewhere that someone's speaking up and saying, no, this isn't right, and kind of giving kids access to the information that they should know.
I mean, if the white privilege isn't already bad enough, the arrogance of these white politicians to pretty
Yeah.
much tell people of color and minorities and women, about themselves and what they should or shouldn't be learning, and the argument that talking about slavery, for example, is uncomfortable for white kids, and that's
Yeah.
not a reason to teach them about what actually happened. I mean, it's really like saying let's not remember any kind of Black history or the Holocaust or like what? Like what are
Yeah.
you talking about? But the arrogance of people to think that somehow is not going to help someone be a better version of themselves. And like you
Yeah.
said, to not want to talk about things that are uncomfortable, that are factual, and present some sort of evading denial. Like I don't
Yeah.
know. I always, and I've said this before on the show. And I understand it would be like me trying to go to the other side and be racist, having grown up only understanding inclusivity and diversity.
Hmm.
So on some level, I get that it would be almost excruciatingly impossible for me to
Yeah.
become a racist. So if
Yeah.
you're a racist and you're always into your white privilege, like the owner of the Indianapolis Colts with some of his comments recently, which are mind blowing,
Yeah.
those types of things, like I cannot comprehend it. So it's just, yeah, I don't want to belabor the point, but and I love that there's a lot of creators on TikTok that are Black historians, like Mr. Krim, Levert the Baseman. There's many others that are offering courses. Churches are offering courses, are allowing people to check out those books
Hmm.
so that if you want to learn more about those things in those banned areas, I hope
Man,
that there's
crazy.
pushback. It's crazy. It's
It's
crazy.
crazy.
So did you ever? Well, I don't know if you do or you don't. This part I didn't know. Did you ever like you and your sister really want to know who your biological parents were? Or was that not allowed or was
No, it was definitely allowed. I think when I was really, really little, like the story of how it's like when I was adopted, where I was adopted, like our birth parents, like that was like always an open conversation. I know when I was younger, my mom would always tell me every year for like Christmas, we'd send out like a calendar of like what me and my sister had been doing that year. And so we would always send one to the adoption agency for like our birth mom to see, and like whether she ever got them or not, I have absolutely no idea, but like that was definitely something that like showed me there was at least the respect and
yeah.
the like openness for if there ever was like a desire to like meet my birth mom, meet my birth dad, or my birth siblings, like that could be a thing. I think as I got older, And probably just because of how I grew up, like I was a happy kid in a safe environment. Like there was never like I need to see like where I came from. I think like as I've grown older and especially being back in Chicago this summer, it definitely comes up more often of like, huh, like I wonder where they are, like what they're doing, if they know where I'm at or what I'm up to. Because it's not like I'm hidden. Like I do things that end up going places. And so I always think like I wonder if they've seen me anywhere. But I think I'm also just like busy. Like I am so busy, and so to kind of take the time to like go on that sort of adventure, it's something I think about. But probably later down the line.
Yeah, it's not let's go have coffee and then that's gonna end there.
Yeah, no, I think some questions probably might want to be asked.
Yeah.
Something.
What about your sister? Is she in the same boat
Uh,
you are?
Yeah, we have the same mom, different dads. And she's always been more quiet than I have been, but I think she's also always been curious. Um, I think yeah, she's just like a quiet kid. Like we're like identical when it comes to like sports and athletics, but I think like where we turned off is just she's more quiet kid and she probably has more questions. But I think same thing is just like you, especially where we could have grown up to where we have grown up uh, it's easy and hard to kind of turn a blind eye and be like,
Yeah.
I'm happy with where I'm living now. And maybe when we're older, because I think my parents at one point, they're like, once you open that door, like you have to be prepared for it not always to be like butterflies and rainbows and like,
Yeah.
you got adopted for a reason. So just kind of preparing that. But I credit my parents because they're open about it. They want us to know that they support whatever we want to do and whatever we want to learn because it's probably not always going to be an easy thing when that day comes, but one day.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I've said this before, you probably don't know this part, but I've had 6 dads and 2 of them have taken their own lives. So I'm
Uh,
writing the book called My 6 Dads. It's hopefully within a year it'll be out. Should, be interesting. Well, I think it's interesting, but there'll be some other extrapolated components to it that maybe people will
yeah,
be able to relate to. So yeah, we all have our trauma, whether it's mom and dad both going to work and that it really upset the kid, or more, complex scenarios. Wait, you
yeah.
say your sister is following in your footsteps sports wise. Is she playing college ball? I don't know that part.
No,
No?
she doesn't
Okay,
play. She
gotcha.
doesn't. No, she doesn't play college ball. We played growing up. About until I'd say like sophomore year of high school. We were doing the same thing. Like we grew up like soul sisters, like playing
Yeah.
basketball, playing soccer. We ran track. Like we were like at the hip. Like I would always say I'm faster than her. My dad would like to say at the same age she was faster, but I don't care. I don't care. I think I want more. But no, she's more into like childcare and that sort of thing. So she's gone down that route. Where I definitely went the college route with athletics and things like that.
Is she in college or she's just pursuing things outside of
She's
college?
out of college now, so she's
Oh,
an
dang.
educated gal. Yeah, she's only a year younger than me.
Oh, only a year. Okay, got you.
Yeah.
Oh, and she didn't do the transfer thing, so she was able to get things done.
Yeah, she was able to do it in the regular four.
Wait, where did she go though?
She was down in St. Petersburg.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, in Florida, yeah. So she
Oh,
still lives
wow.
down there. Yeah.
Okay. Man, Florida is whack.
Crazy.
You
Everything
wouldn't,
about that state.
man, fuck. You wouldn't find me caught dead in Florida. I don't give. I mean, now I say that, and in 5.5 years, I want to coach college ball again. Preferably at a Power Five. But man, Florida would. I guess when you're in the bubble of college ball, like it's sort of whatever. But like, oh my god, bro.
Yeah, Florida. I don't know how much longer she's gonna be down there, but yeah.
So, where else did you look besides BC initially? Were your parents hoopers? Trying to figure out where.
Absolutely not.
Oh, dang. Okay,
Absolutely not.
I meant to ask you that part.
Absolutely not.
They played the
No.
piano.
My mom, she played the violin and
Mm,
she went to Amherst College and
mhm,
then UMass Amherst for
mm.
grad school. Smart
Oh
lady,
wow.
real smart.
Oh,
And my dad, he went to school in Wisconsin, Shimer College, and he like bike rides. Like that is his thing. He's like
wow.
70, what, 73? like
Oh,
bike
wow.
rides like every day, just like a lot, like for hours on end. So they didn't play any sports like that.
Wait, what
So
was
I was like
mom's
first
graduate degree in?
something smart. Like she works at Dartmouth College and does finances
Dartmouth?
for the Dartmouth for the
Oh,
arts and
dang.
science program. So like
Oh, okay.
she moves like 300,000 different places, does the
Wow.
budget for the whole university. Yeah. She's smart, real smart. So
Hey,
she liked the BC education.
for real. So wait,
Yeah.
so where else were you looking besides BC? Where did you want to stay on the East Coast or did you go visit? Where did you visit? You had 6 visits, right? Did you take them all?
Heck no, I didn't take all 6 of them. I think by the end of it, I was tired of it.
Yeah, yeah.
I think mainly like with AAU, like a lot of my tournaments were on the East Coast, so like a lot of the recruiting that I did was on the East Coast. So like
What,
where I
American?
go, conference
No,
or
you said like American University. You said AU.
oh no, like AAU.
Oh, AAU tournaments were on the East Coast. Got you.
Yeah. So it was like Providence College, UMass
Oh yeah.
Amherst, University of Rhode Island. I had
Got
like some attention from like UNC before the whole uh Sylvia
Yeah, yeah.
coach thing went down. There were a couple other schools, but like BC was like my biggest, and like I think my only like Power 5 school, and so it was like 2.5 hours from like where I grew up. My best
Yeah.
friend is from Boston. Uh, Good education. The team like at the time was like great people, just like not great basketball, and so
Yeah.
it's kind of like a no brainer to pick there, and yeah, lasted 4 years there.
Yeah, one of my early girlfriends when I was in college lived in Boston. I didn't like Boston. I gotta be honest with you. It just like I love the sports. Like
Yeah.
love the Garden, Fenway. First time I ever went to Fenway blew my mind because it was like a Cracker Jack box. I had no idea based on what I saw on television, it was going to be that
Yeah.
small and that intimate. And I was like, literally when I walked in there, I was like,
Yeah,
you see the Green Monster on TV, and you think this is going to be an enormous stadium. It's maybe one of the tiniest, along with Wrigley.
it's tiny,
Crazy,
tiny.
even with the
Yeah,
the renovation stuff. So, but like the sports, I just felt like the people were angry and driving fast. Like, I don't know, man. I was like,
probably, yeah. I'd say my driving habits
got
probably
worse.
mirrored that of somebody that lives in Boston. It's just like get out of the way. If you're
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
way, get out
Oh
and
my
get to
God.
where you need to be. Yeah.
That is hilarious. So you liked Boston though? You had a good time there? Like you enjoyed the coaching, like or like what was the Power 5 experience at a school that's not known for their women's basketball necessarily?
I think looking back, when I talk about BC, it's always so weird because it feels like an out of body thing. Because when I was there, it was like what it was. But now looking back, like and talking about it, it's like I'm a different version of myself. So like
Yeah, yeah.
looking back, I'm like, like there's no way I could see myself now being there. But like when I was there, I'm like, oh, this is great. Like we had the biggest freshman class,
Wow.
my freshman year. So like there was 7 of us, and then somebody else came in, so there were 8 of us, and we were all new to a coaching staff, and the upperclassmen had like a different coaching staff that kind of let them kind of do whatever outside of basketball, and so it was like a whole bunch of us that were kind of just like enjoying where we were like in a new program, but like we were actually pretty good at basketball, and so we just like messed around. Like it was such a fun time, honestly. I think looking back, if we had paid a little bit more attention to basketball, we probably could have made it a little bit further, but I mean, the year of COVID, like we were gonna make it to
Yeah.
the NCAA tournament, but COVID hit. But definitely some of the best years looking back. I still talk to a couple of the girls. But yeah, wow, 4 years there. Crazy to think about for sure.
Did they bring up Doug Flutie like when you were on your visit? Like was that like a thing still all these years later?
Yeah, they like love them when I was getting recruited,
Oh
when I
my
was
God.
there. I think I met him like once or twice. Like they have his
Wow.
statue like outside of the gym. And I mean like that was like the selling point, which was like I mean I get why he was the selling point, but if I'm looking, I'd probably bring up what's his name? He played for the Atlanta Falcons, Matt Ryan. like the
Yeah.
quarterback, like I probably would have brought him up a little bit more than Doug Flutie. I mean, like that was probably more like a parental conversation. But he was a big deal for a reason. Yeah, no, BC loves Doug Flutie.
For those of you that don't know, that was the Hail Mary pass on the last play of the game, and it really probably propelled Doug Flutie to have the type of career in the NFL that he did, a lot longer than he might have not otherwise had. And he threw a
Yeah.
Hail Mary, and they upset Miami in the Orange Bowl, and yeah, very famous, one of the most exciting finishes ever to a college football game, and
Yeah.
upset the U, which holy moly, like
Yeah.
they went bananas.
My freshman or sophomore year, I think, Miami was ranked and they came to us and we beat them. And I just remember everyone storming the field. I'm like, yes, let's relax for a second here. But it was a good time.
So talk a little bit about the transfer portal, NIL. It just started, sort of, I guess, yeah. And give us your thoughts on it. Is it good? Obviously, paying players is something that's long overdue. But what about the transfer portal? You used to in the old days have to wait a year. You had to sit out a year before you got to
Yeah.
play. So what are your thoughts about the transfer portal? And you left to go because you wanted to be in a more competitive program with you had a COVID year. You had 1 year
Yeah.
extra year of ball. So for people that
Yeah.
don't know, people that were a part of COVID, you got an extra year of eligibility. So now there's an asterisk by all of the statistics and records that are in the records books. But whatever, who cares? Baseball is the only sport that people actually care about statistics anyway. Nobody cares about statistics in any other sport. It's all about rings. So, but
True.
yeah, but go ahead.
True.
Yeah.
I think when I did the whole transfer portal and the NIL thing, NIL was like really not that big of a deal. Okay, you sold a couple t-shirts, whatever. Like every once in a while someone might have like a pretty cool deal, but it really wasn't anything. So whatever. I think the transfer portal when I went, it like was when I was transferring, that's like when the conversation got a little bit more negative. It was like kids aren't loyal to the university anymore. Uh that was like really the big ones. Like kids just don't understand like what loyalty is. I think for me, I was very much in tune with like one myself, two what I'd given to the university for 4 years, and three like why I was leaving and like what I was looking for. So the whole idea of like you're not loyal or the grass is always greener on the other side like was kind of just like okay, like you're just not going to talk and saying something on Instagram. Like it's not, if you were there you'd understand it. And so for me, being able to transfer right away and play was like great. Being able to go to, because I didn't really look at too many schools. Like I think I turned my phone off honestly. Like there was like the first like week or something like that, and
Oh
I
my God.
talked to, I think like NC State had called. I think like Angel Reese at the time and like hit me up on Instagram, like because it was all like trying to team up with people.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think somebody else maybe reached out, and like after like 3 schools I was like I actually don't want to talk to anybody, I'm so sorry, I'm turning my phone off. And I like called Kenny Brooks and I was like, okay, like so when are we doing this? And everyone's like, so are you going on a visit? And I was like, why? Like because like you can. I'm like, why would I do that? I'm like, I'm about to leave my school, like I only have like a month left with these kids. I was like, I've been to Virginia Tech 3 times, like I've seen the
Right.
gym, I've seen the hotel. I was like, I really don't need to see much else. Like, if everything else is that bad, okay, well then that's my bad that I didn't go travel.
First of all, it's a
Uh,
two-way street to get into Blacksburg anyways. Like there's nothing else like it's Blacksburg. It's Virginia
uh,
Tech. Like you're going there to play sports and the fans love
yeah.
you. That's all you need to know. Like
I
it's
was
not it's
like,
not like Chapel Hill or
University of
Raleigh.
Miami.
Yeah, like
Like,
it's Blacksburg. It's like it takes forever
yeah,
to get there and you're playing sports and the community loves you and it's a college town. That's it. Like
that's literally all I needed to know. And so I was like, yeah, I'm not visiting. And everyone's like, okay. And so I committed and I was like, okay, cool. And I didn't see campus until the first day I got there, and I had no regret, honestly. I think it was just like I had to take a leap of faith, and I had known Kenny Brooks honestly just like from passing by like after games. I liked I mean, everyone, you talk to coaches and they're going to say whatever they want to say. But for me, it was like, you could say anything you want to say. Like, I'm going to come regardless. Like, I like the players that you have right now. Like, you need a 4 player. I'm a 4. You guys were pretty good last year. Like, I'm going back into the ACC. Like, my senior year at BC, I made like all ACC, like second team or something like that. I was like, I got some other stuff I want to be able to do. So there wasn't even really the idea of like, I want to go to a different conference. And so worked out pretty great for me. And everything else that happened when I was there, had no idea that was going to happen. But I have no regret. No regret.
Well, I mean, especially after going to the Final Four, your senior year playing against Angel Reese.
Tell
And
me about it. Tell me about it.
hey, let's go. For those of you listening and not watching, she's showing that ring, that Final Four ring. It says VT right on the front there.
Yeah. She's nice.
They
She's
still
nice.
talk about Michael Vick there. Speaking of quarterbacks at BC and now Virginia Tech.
Yeah, they did talk about Michael Vick a little bit there. I saw him at a game one time talking to some recruits. So yeah, amid all the allegations, they still love that man. So he did some cool things while he was at Tech.
He's evolved a lot. My former assistant coach was his agent. So yeah, I was trying to get him on the show for a while, but he's obviously doing other things. Well, that's amazing. Let me ask you this. Like when I was recruiting at a D3, you mentioned your mom went to a D3 school somewhere, Amherst or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to recruit D1 players at D3, ones that didn't want to, commit to the full D1 experience, took a lot of time, but they still were good enough to play D1. And the more I realized it, a lot of the D3s were pretty much the same, liberal arts. And I realized that I had to have a connection, and I did some things that a lot of coaches didn't do, which is I encouraged them to go visit other places. I encouraged them to ask lots of questions. And I rarely negatively recruited, only if I felt like there was something really that nobody would know except me and until they got there, and then it's too late at that point.
Yeah.
But I really wanted them to come because they connected with me. Now, maybe that's wrong, but was that your experience, or do you think a lot of kids really want to connect with the coach now? Because in the old days, it was just more about do as I say, getting in the faces of players. But now it's like, do you care about the whole person as we lead into talking about maybe mental health and some other things? So was that something that was important to you, or you just wanted to go to a competitive school, and if the coach was at least middle of the road, like you didn't need him to be like touchy feely and have such a strong relationship with the coach kind of thing?
I think, and again, I'm probably just saying, like, now it's probably easier to say because I'm 23 looking back on 5 years of college basketball, but I also think I've always kind of been a kid that's seen just like the adult side of any situation. And so I think like going into a team, you kind of got to be like, okay, what do I want? What do I bring to the table? What am I willing to give? And if I'm not given what I want in return, how am I going to react? And so I think a lot of issues come up because kids aren't honest with themselves. You're like, okay, I'm not going to go up to the office. I'm not going to communicate with my coach. If I'm upset about something, I'm not going to communicate it. But if they don't ask me about how my weekend was, or they don't ask me about why I'm being quiet that day, then they're the problem.
Right.
And so it's like, oh, well, what'd you do on your end? And so for me, it was like, okay, I know, like, a coach, you can yell at me because 9 times out of 10, it's probably what you're saying and not the tone in which you're saying it. 2, if you're saying it, I probably did something. And so let me like figure out what I did. And then 3, like, if we can have a conversation, also 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to be able to see me as a human being. And then we'll build like a relationship where it's like, okay, I can kind of get on her about these sort of things. Like if she's not liking it, she might say something, but also like I probably won't say anything because like we've had conversations outside of like those small interactions. And so when I was like choosing a school, I mean, again, I knew Coach Brooks from the sideline. I didn't know how he coached. Like when I got to Tech, there was like some growing pains in terms of just like, how does he want me to respond to like some yelling? Some coaches want you to be like, yes, coach. Like when it's him, like he does not need you to say anything. You can just look him in the face, make some eye contact. Honestly, don't even say yeah, and you're good. And so I think like with that, it was like I knew if I worked hard, if I knew yeah, like if you're a good human being, if you work hard, you can make mistakes, but it's how you respond to those mistakes. Like most coaches, not everybody's like that, but most coaches are then gonna like see you as a human being. And so I got lucky with with Coach Brooks because I knew that he saw me as a person and what I could also bring on the floor. But that was also because like I could see him as like a man and not just a coach. Like he was a dad, he was a husband, he was other things and like worked hard and like had bad days. And so being able to have conversations like that, like made it easy for him to coach me. I think. I think so.
Well, did you feel like a next level vibe just because he understands the enormity of the responsibility of not only being male in a woman's sport, which there's still not enough women coaching for whatever reason, and he knows that if he does a good job, there's the likelihood that another African American, there's still biases, has a better chance to get hired next time. So did he come across either directly or indirectly about, that added responsibility that unfortunately he has to take on?
All the time. He would talk about it like in one-on-one meetings, he would talk about it with the team, and it was always just like a conversation. Like it was a responsibility that he knew he might have, and not one that he necessarily didn't want to have, but like he somebody opened up a door for him to have the opportunities that he had to be able to work hard and like his characteristics, like he's a hard worker, he wants to do the right thing, like that obviously like helped him along the way, but he was given opportunities to be where he was. And so for him, it's like, okay, like I'm here now. Like who could I bring along with me? And so for one, is definitely like he takes great pride in like being like the only African American like male coach in a Power Five, but also realizing that there are other African American coaches that are aspiring to be like him. And so how does he carry himself? Like how does he run his teams? Like what type of culture does he build? And even just like being like a coach in the women's game. Like all the time, he wants us, whether you're African American, whether you're like kid of color, you're not, like whatever your background is, like being proud of who you are, like speaking up for what you're proud of, like speaking up for what you're not proud of. If there are things that you want to see change, like making sure you have a strong head on your shoulders and people around you to support you. And like that was something he talks about with us all the time. He's like, as female athletes, like you have like a responsibility, but also like the opportunity to like change the game how you see fit. And so that's probably one of my favorite things about him, just outside of how he coaches. He was really vocal on like his responsibility, but also the responsibility that we all had.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
Definitely a huge bridge for whoever's next. I think that's
yeah.
really cool. Yeah. Well, I'm just going to share my opinion. What you just talked about is why,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't have to comment on this because I don't want to put you in a precarious position going into next season. But why I was so
Mm-hmm.
irritated about Nate Tibbetts getting the job with the Phoenix Mercury. And I told a number of former WNBA players that came on the show, like, I don't know him. Sounds like a good guy. But how in the entire fuck does a mid 40-year-old white guy
Mm-hmm.
who never coached women get a head WNBA job?
Yeah.
And I don't give a shit what anybody says. I am just as irritated with this, maybe not quite as much, as I am when Tom Brady doesn't speak out about Colin Kaepernick, or when Aaron
Mm-hmm.
Rodgers spews his bullshit and doesn't talk about Colin Kaepernick, and when Eli and Peyton Manning and Tony Romo and Troy Aikman, if all those guys had fucking taken a knee with Colin, I'm digressing, then
Yeah.
Colin would still be in the league if the white quarterbacks had actually taken a knee with him and pushed back against the white owners. And this is I don't even know how this kind of thing happens, but I'm just stating it for the record that I think it is absolute bullshit. He may be a nice guy. Like it'd be one thing even if I got an assistant job in the WNBA, having coached women for 17 years and girls. But for someone with no experience, like what? Like what? Like you can't tell me there's not a plethora of women of color that could be doing that job. Like no experience on the women's side. And I had one person say we need more NBA coaches on the women's side. Like literally somebody told me that, a former WNBA player. I'm like, I didn't say anything back. I'm like, I respect your opinion. You play in the WNBA, but I'm like, we need women of color that played in the WNBA coaching in the WNBA. We don't need 46-year-old white guys who never coached women. It's bullshit. I'm sorry. You don't have to respond. Like, I know you're trying to make a roster next year or whatever. Maybe it's Phoenix. But I'm just saying, like,
They got Chrissy
what
Toliver
in,
over there now.
what in, yes, that's true. But like, what in the entire fuck?
Yeah, I think I always find just not even that situation specifically, just in general. I think, yeah, and you're not in the room. I don't know how the conversations go, but I
I mean,
think
I'm not Diana Taurasi, and I know she's coming back. I'm telling you right now, and I've said this before, if I was like, I always talk about the football references. If I was Diana Taurasi, fuck you. I'm not playing for this organization when that's who you're hiring. I just wouldn't do it. I'm sorry. I
yeah,
would take a stand. I don't give a fuck if I was here my whole career. She's doing a Kobe. Like, I get it. I wouldn't. I'd bounce. I'd be like, look, yeah, he's been cool to me. He's a nice guy. I met him, had a lot of great experience in the NBA. Like, we're vibing, but
yeah,
fuck that.
yeah.
I mean, I'm just
It's
saying
hard.
that would be me. So anyways, I
Yeah,
don't want to, yeah. No one
I
said
don't know.
anything. There was no
No,
pushback.
no.
No one said anything.
Twitter said a lot. Twitter did say a lot.
Okay, but
It's Twitter.
it's Twitter, it's X. And shout out to
Yeah.
Diana Taurasi right up here. I'm gonna always have her in here, one of the goats. But man, oh man, that shit had me. I wasn't even gonna bring that up today. How did you see the harmonious options when you were in college and your year with the Chicago Sky in terms of mental health? Did you see that as not taboo anymore and as something that they encouraged you to make sure you were okay in that area, or was it just like, look, you gotta get through it, like, go talk to someone, but we expect you here at practice at 6 a.m.
It was definitely, and it was probably just like also who was in front of me that were just like those were things that they were big on. Like whether it was at Virginia Tech, like I knew I could go to my trainer literally anytime. Like if I had to go into her office and like cry before practice, like that's like what I need to do. Like the first thing should be like is like, okay, who do I need to call like in our mental health resources for you to talk to? Whether it was like my head coach, like same thing, like with him, it never felt like I've had coaches in the past where it felt like, okay, you're at basketball practice, like now basketball is the only thing you're thinking about. And anything that's going on outside of basketball, like forget about it until like we're done. Where it's like we're there, it always felt okay. Like you can still be having a bad day. Like you are here now. And so like to the best of your ability, like be here. And so that just like allowed me to like be human and have bad days but still kind of be present where I was at. And when it came to being in Chicago, I think one, I was around great vets, and so if I was going through anything, like they could kind of sense that, like they would be like are you okay, like what's up, like do you need to talk about this and that. And so I think I was in a area where I felt like I could kind of talk about how I was doing mentally. And also, like, I was never with James Wade for that long, so I don't really know how
Right.
he was. But when it came to like Coach Emery, like he was big on that. Like, how are you as a human being today? Like, how are we taking care of each other? Like, yes, it is wins and losses, but like seriously, like as a human being, like, are you okay? Like, are you taking care of yourself? And so I think that was just like a great reminder, like alongside with like just the resources that the league is trying to put in place, like to be unafraid, especially in a league where you don't know if you're always going to be there the next day. Like you don't want to take practice off. You don't want to miss a game because you're going through something mentally. But for that to be something that's pushed and not in a negative way, I think is really important because at the end of the day, like your mental health should matter. And I think if you allow athletes to speak upon like what they're going through mentally without feeling like there's going to be a backlash, like it's not going to be athletes. I mean, maybe some people might take advantage of it, but I think it'll bring forth more strong athletes than people think.
I mean, it used to be people are making excuses, they're trying to get out of stuff, and all
Yeah.
this. like, I guess that's a small percentage, but man, at the level that you're talking about, like, what is the downside to putting your arm on, one of your players' shoulders and just, being like, yo, you good today?
Yeah.
Like, you straight? Like,
Yeah.
and more importantly, when we talk about mental health, especially under the age of 25, our brains before the age of 25 really are not developed.
Yeah.
Like, just everyone, no matter where you
Yeah.
come from. So you don't know how to navigate these spaces, not to mention the fact that these things are not emphasized growing up.
Yeah.
Ethics, there's never a class in ethics. There's never a class in communication. There's never a class in conflict resolution. Those classes should be mandated in our
Yeah.
curriculums, and they're not. So we're expected, just because we play sports, that we're going to be able to navigate those spaces, with most people having trauma on top of it growing
Yeah.
up. Like,
Yeah.
it's an impossible ask. It
Yeah.
really is. So that's why when I go to that level and I'm going to manifest it, it's going to happen, because I
Yep.
just feel like my skill set is tailored, no pun intended, to, that type of thing. But I just want to be a part of something not only bigger than myself, but I want to be a part of something harmonious,
Mm.
something where there's a continuous journey, and there's not necessarily goal setting, even though the goal is to always win a national championship, but that you're just trying
Yeah.
to, as my club, represents, you're trying to get 1% better every day.
Yeah.
And for some people, that's hard because they want to set a goal, or they want to score, have a double double or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe you could average a triple double if you didn't set the goal to be a double double.
Yeah.
So, goal setting for a lot of people, nowadays is not a thing. They just want to get better every day. And,
Yeah.
how do you measure that? But yeah, I just think from a mental health perspective, I don't know. I personally would want to be around people that care about harmony
Yeah.
and putting your arm around the person, even if it's every day. And obviously, if there's a pattern, then hey, maybe there's a chemical imbalance, or, there's going to be red flags, right? But there's no
Yeah.
downside to putting your arm around somebody and being like, look, I need you to work hard today, even if it's for a half hour, and then you got to go
Yeah.
take 10 minutes to yourself and come back. Like, I know a lot of coaches can't handle that kind of thing,
Yeah.
but a lot of these things are principles. They're not rules. Rules are, you wear this when we're getting on the bus to go to an away trip. That's
Yeah.
non-negotiable. And honestly, if you forgot it or lost it, you're not coming on this trip.
Yeah.
We're leaving at 5 o'clock. If you're here at 5:01, you're not traveling. Like,
Yeah.
those types of things are non-negotiable unless there's an emergency, right? But other things are more principle-based, which means
Yeah.
they're oftentimes meant to be broken. So what was your experience like in the W? Like, were you always like fearful, like looking over your shoulder, like there's someone else that they're wanting to bring in, that you may get cut or released, or because you're one of 100. Well, it's not even 144 with salary cap situations. So it's
Yeah.
sometimes it's less than 144 players, even though expansion is coming, thank God. You know,
Yeah.
and what are you going back to the Skies camp, or are you a free agent, or how does that work?
So first and foremost, right now, in like what, less than a month or so, like talks with like training camp and like securing those sort of things are gonna come up. And so this is my first year trying to figure all that out from like now like an actual like rookie in the second year situation. So nothing is set in stone yet.
Yeah.
If it's in God's plan to go back to Chicago, I'd absolutely love to go back to Chicago. I think being able to be honestly anywhere would be a blessing, because from when I was in Minnesota for 3 weeks to when I was in Chicago, like you see the various different types of people you could be in those different settings. Like in Chicago, it very much felt like, okay, this is where I could have grown up. This is kind of who I can be from like who I am now. Like they're building something in the basketball community and this and that, and like big heavy on defense. Like when I was in Minnesota, it's like I was really in touch with like people in the business office and working on things like outside of basketball, like doing some community work. And so honestly, like if I were to end up anywhere, I think it's just an amazing opportunity basketball wise and outside of basketball. I think when I was in Minnesota, I met this guy that worked in the business office who told me, he's like, playing basketball is like a great thing, but it's like, what are you doing when you're not dribbling the basketball? Like, who are you reaching out to? Who are you talking with? And I think being able to take advantage of that was like really big for me for like the summer that I was there, because I have people now that I can talk to, like
Right.
if I never make a roster spot ever again. But definitely would want to be back in Chicago with those people for sure. with new coaching staff. I just think it's an exciting time for Chicago. But being there, I think, again, was just like a rookie, and I think before even the first regular season game, it was like I had done everything that like as a kid I could even like think about. Like I couldn't even think about too many things. Okay, graduate college, like win an ACC championship, like that was a goal, but I was like, is it really gonna happen? Like it took 5 years, and it was like, okay, like #1 seed, seasonal, like regional champs, cool. Like check that off the list. Like Final Four, check that off the list. Like, you didn't even think about checking off the list. Oh, you got drafted. Like I didn't even think when I was a kid I was gonna get drafted. So like check that off. Played in the first WNBA game in Canada. Like didn't even know that was a thing. Check it off. Like go through training camp, make it to the last day, check that off. Like not many people even made it to the last day. So I was like, okay. And then there was a 2-week period of when like I was unemployed, and I was like, okay, so you kind of got to do something. Like, and just I got lucky. I'd worked hard. Like people knew my name, and so got the opportunity to be in Chicago. And so I think while being there, especially on a hardship contract where
Yeah.
it's temporary just because someone's hurt, you never like to be brought in somewhere when someone's hurt, but like that's just how life works, and especially in sports. And so it's like if I can be a rookie and be on a team right now, like I just had to make the most out of it. So it's like being a good teammate, being a good human being to the people that are cleaning the locker room, that are helping us like put our cars away, like whatever it was, because like last year could have been my only year that I'm ever in the WNBA. Like Robin Parks, she's played overseas 9 years, and last year was her first year ever in the WNBA. And so it's like you really never know. Like you could be a great human being, you could be a great player, you could be great whatever. And if the opportunity is like isn't there, it's not. And so I think trying not to always be looking over my shoulder and just like enjoying where I was, and also being like, you still are here. Like there's only so many spots, and there's so many people that they could have called, and they called you. And so like not taking it for granted, but also being like, yeah, like I deserve to be here. Like you wanted me here. And so I think, yeah, rookie year, even like not even playing, I was like, it went great. Like I was around some amazing vets. Like I learned a whole lot about basketball. I learned a whole lot about the league and what it needs and what I can do. And so I'm excited for this upcoming year and training camp and wherever I end up. I think I'm excited for it.
Man, so obviously you talked to your parents first, but who was the next person you told that you got that contract?
The
Besides your
Sky
sister?
one.
Yeah.
Uh, I was I know who I called. I was at BC. I was back at Boston College. I was like doing some work with my old academic advisors, and I was like very much so locked in. Like I was very locked in. My phone's on Do Not Disturb all the time. And I had a missed call from my agent, and I was like, gotta answer this. I call him, and he's like, Chicago wants to know if you want to come. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I think the first person I was gonna call was my best friend. Like she's the person to be like, yes or no. Like, is this a good idea? And I was like, okay, how long do I have to decide? He's like,
An hour.
he was like a minute.
Right,
He's
I was
like,
gonna say.
he was like now. And I was like, can't call the best friend, can't call anybody. I'm like, okay, I'll go. Cause like you never know when you're gonna get the phone call. I knew nothing really about Chicago because like until going into the league, like because it's just not shown, you just don't know. So I didn't
Yeah.
know anything. So I was like, okay. And so I'm like, so when do I go? And he's like, tonight in like 4 hours is a flight to Chicago. I think the next person I called was my tech teammate, Kayana Trailer,
Oh,
because she
okay.
had been drafted by Chicago. And so then it like randomly worked out that like she got picked up by Minnesota where I was drafted. So
Wow.
like she called me. So I was like, she was the first person I had to call. But there's no way that I just got picked up by the team that you got cut from, and then you got picked up from the team I got cut
Right.
from. Yeah. So it's crazy. Crazy.
Wow. Okay, let's get to the rapid fire. Okay. uh who would you want to retweet or repost one of your tweets or posts on Twitter or Instagram if you could choose one person?
Morgan Freeman.
Ooh, Shawshank. He's
I
definitely
know. I don't know. I
Did
don't know.
you
I love that
know,
man.
but did you know that at the end he was gonna have dug that hole? I had no idea.
No, did not know.
No idea.
But I love that man.
One of
He's
the best-
old and people are concerned,
Right.
but I love him.
Yeah. And shout out to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who fell and broke his hip. 3-month recovery coming up, but
Ooh.
yeah, arguably one of the GOATs for sure. And that's why people push back about Biden being on a ladder during Christmas. You know, old people shouldn't be on ladders. Old people's hips break. So yeah, President Biden, don't get on the ladder anymore, among some other things that are frustrating.
Bikes.
Man, keep your feet 10 toes on the ground, just like a lot of coaches say, right, before you make a pass. Like I like no look one-handed passes because they're indefensible if you can
Yeah.
if you can get it there. But most of the time, coaches like you to pass fake, shot fake, reverse pivot.
Yeah. Yeah. No
do you
jump
have a-
passes.
Yeah, no jump passes. I like jump passes, but that's just me. Well, you know, it's calculated risks, not all the time.
Yes.
What do you have a favorite tattoo?
Favorite tattoo? Probably shout out my guy Diego. He does some great work. Honestly, this whole piece is great. This is a little memorial for a friend that passed away, Jamie, that I love, but also I have a quote on here. When the power of love overcomes the love of power, the world will know peace. And that's probably one of my favorite tattoos.
I like that. Now I'm in my 50s. Do you think if I got like, I mean, I'm a little swole. I ain't bad, but do you think I should get? You think I should get a sleeve, like, or a half
Yeah.
sleeve?
Yeah. I think you should start from the top down. Start from the top down. Cover up with the shirt for a little bit.
Yeah, but wait, right arm or left? I'm right-handed. Left?
Let's say if I'm looking at you, you look like someone would have a right arm sleeve.
All right, bet. I'm really
Yeah.
thinking about it. Well, I guess that's where a lot of my TikTok shop money is going to be going, ladies and gentlemen. Keep the TikTok shop money coming in. Let's go. I wanna have that sleeve and I'm gonna promote it. I don't know what I'll have. I know some of the stuff that I'll have, but yeah, I would really. And a lot of people have said. I know some guy who does tattoos. He's like, it's actually better you're doing it now because then it wouldn't, it'd be old at this point. I have a concealed tattoo that my first girlfriend and I got. It was a little bit feminine. We didn't do names.
Okay.
It's faded. It's very faded, but it's a good memory.
Yeah, I always
don't-
look at them as memories.
I can't see it anyways. I'm not telling you where it is though. Do you have a favorite athlete of all time in any sport?
Favorite athlete of all time. Wow, I don't even think I really thought of favorite athlete of all time. This is a random one.
You used to play football, like
I did used to play a little bit of football. I will say Aaron Rodgers was one of my favorite athletes until he started getting a little, still until he started getting a little. I know that was real rough, real rough.
I'll refer back to what I said earlier about Aaron Rodgers. So don't.
Yeah, that part. It's just like you got the long hair and then the COVID stuff, and then you lost me. Random athlete actually is a track star, Sonia Richards Ross. She was a sprinter way back in the day, ran the Olympics. And when I was 10, I won Hershey track and field, this random thing, and I got to meet her. She was pretty cool. Yeah.
That's amazing. I've had a lot of track and field athletes on, and I've had 2 from the '68 Olympics where they had the silent protest. So shout out to Lou Scott and Mel Penders from the 1968 Olympics that were on the Sports Daily podcast. If you guys want to check that out, 2 amazing conversations. Do you have a favorite food?
Ooh, favorite food. Solid sushi fan.
Ooh, dang. Avocado?
Yeah. I'll add some avocado in there for sure. Yeah. We got some nice all you can eat sushi out here.
Spicy tuna?
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Maybe I'm just hungry, but yeah.
Oh, that is hilarious. Wait, rice or no rice?
Rice.
Oh, okay. I feel you.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite app?
Favorite app. Dang, my mind just went straight to Twitter. Twitter or Pinterest? Love me some Pinterest.
Yeah, Pinterest is up. Pinterest made me a lot of money on Amazon
Really?
because they have an agreement and I directed a lot of traffic from Pinterest to Amazon, and the sales went through the freaking roof. I mean, because I'm an Amazon influencer and I sell on TikTok Shop. So any way you can direct traffic to those places, but and
Huh.
Pinterest, and you think about it, Pinterest and Amazon are very similar. People are going there for
Yeah.
ideas to shop.
Yeah.
So they're not
Huh.
pissed off if you put links in there that direct them to Amazon because they're already in that mindset of,
Mhm.
ooh, yeah, DIYs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah, I love
besides
it.
the threes, what's one of the areas that you're working on? And if we were to watch film together, what's one thing that you think that I would notice that is a glaring uh area that you need to
Uh,
work
I'd probably say like pace and poise. Like playing with like I have such a quick first step, like using that to my advantage. So like slowing down my game. But like being able to improve my ball handling to like have a quick change of speed, direction, like things like that are definitely things that I know that can take me to the next level.
Do you have someone helping you work on your braking system? Like you say, you got that first quick step, but then stopping on a dime and then
Well, I'm
chill.
hearing negative, which is such a bummer. Like, I think being at Tech was like part of like obviously I love playing basketball, but like my individual workouts with Coach Brooks were like top tier. Like it was working on like where my foot placement is, like where my hands on the ball, like what fingers are coming off the basketball and what places, like the timing of the shot, like okay, I'm using this move, but like where's my foot, like which direction is my big toe facing, like how am I stopping then going again? Like, yeah, like he was see, he like he's a great coach, but like individual skill, like if you have 1 week with that man, you're a better player. It's crazy.
Yeah, and then you can't have this disconnect where you're not trying to implement it or practice it or get your reps, and then
Yeah,
do you have the opportunity to try it in a game and that kind of stuff.
yeah.
But like I
Literally,
said,
I watched film on him and like Georgia Amore, him and Liz Kitley, and literally the things I watched them do in practice for like 45 minutes. Like we'll clip it and it's the exact same thing that they do like the next game. It's like the most enjoyable thing to watch because I'm like, yeah, he's nuts. If he never coaches the game of basketball again, he has like a job in player development is
right?
ridiculous.
Yeah, so that's what I want to do. I want to do life coaching and player development and film because those are my strengths, and that's where the women's
You have a
game.
client.
I told you anytime. I don't charge. I already worked with a former Oregon State player that's overseas trying to, get in Athletes Unlimited and, get at least an invite to camp. And then I worked with a men's player who was playing overseas, who's one step away from the G League. He actually watched film with me. He's like, I've been playing professionally for 7 years. I've never had a film session like that because I didn't know what they were running. So I'm just making comments based on what I see, his
Yeah,
eyes, his shoulders, his body language, what he's looking at, why he's rushing. These are things that
yeah,
the pros do it too. The pros make constant
yeah,
mistakes on
yeah. All the
slowing
time.
down or speeding up or the braking system or obviously the Hardens and some of those guys understand how to create tempo and you know those types of things. But most players don't. But anyways, the women's side still has a lot of catching up to do for obvious reasons, and that's why
Yeah,
I want to be a part of helping with those areas because it's just I don't care what offense you're running.
yeah,
If you don't have four players on the floor at one time that can get downhill, or at least one or two that can play with their back to the basket, a guard and a big, both,
yeah,
and three and a half players that can shoot the three on the floor at any one time,
yeah.
you're gonna get beat and you won't win more than 12 games, maybe 15.
Yeah,
If you have four players that can get downhill and you got three and a half players that can shoot the three at any one point in time, I don't care how fast they are. Those
yeah,
intangibles are separate. Those are the X factors in less than 15 turnovers a game. And most women their moves are predictable. They still cross over in front of people, and white guards still get disrespected by their black women counterparts. They do. It's
yeah,
it's still ridiculous. Like 30 years later, the white guard, not Caitlin, but a lot of them, the coaches, the players are like, oh, white guard out there, let's trap. It's crazy.
yeah.
It's
You're not
literally a thing.
wrong. Yeah,
So
that's
like when
so
you
true.
start yo-yoing your thing and playing, you know, then maybe you'll get your respect, but it's not instant like it is with other players.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
anyways, that's what I want to bring to the game because I love that. My point was that I don't care what offense you're running, shit's going to break down. And if you can't take that junk to the rack and use a Euro, not just to score, but a Euro to kick it out, you know,
Yeah.
a fake spin, an up and under to kick it out, to hit the trailer. Like, what's your
Yeah.
IQ? You talked about IQ. Like,
Yeah.
if your IQ is not through the roof, I don't care how much skill you got.
Nah.
You
This
gotta,
bring me back to tech practices. Literally, that's exactly what we had. It's crazy. Crazy.
I mean, if
Makes your
someone's
job so much
physically,
easier.
yeah, all things being equal, if someone's physically better than you, they're going to beat you. You're not going to beat yourself. I
Yeah.
mean, that's really the only way you should lose, especially
Yeah.
with a veteran team. So wait, double Dutch or football?
Mm.
You
I'm
see
like,
why I asked
what's
that question, because you used to.
yeah, I was thinking about that. What's that one movie? With the double Dutch in it.
Oh yeah,
I cannot remember the dang name. But I gotta go football. I actually could not double Dutch. We had to do that in middle school all the time. And I was like, one of you guys are gonna hit me with the jump rope and I'm gonna get pissed off and I don't wanna be here anymore.
wait, waffles, French toast, pancakes, or eggs?
Ooh, I'd say I would have just said pancakes if French toast wasn't in there.
Hmm.
Probably French toast, pancakes, waffles.
So have you? Oh, eggs is last. So have you ever had?
Yeah.
Have you ever had? I got you. Have you ever had a challah bread, French toast?
No.
It's a Jewish bread and it's thicker. It's like potato bread, but you got to try French toast with challah bread. It's unparalleled. Uh,
Noted.
popcorn or candy at the movies?
Candy.
What kind?
Scour Skittles. Sour Skittles.
Say that 5 times real quick. What's more difficult, completing your master's degree in 1 year or going from college to pro as a professional women's basketball player?
Completing your master's in 1 year. Seriously. Yeah, it's hard. That's a hard one.
Yeah, I took 2 years, so I can't imagine having it back in the day when my master's was sort of fake. It's not like it is now. I mean, it's real, but yeah, I had to do a thesis and everything. If I had to do all that stuff in a year, I know you love music.
No.
Who's your favorite musical artist?
Mm. Favorite musical artist? I honestly I think it's from being from New Hampshire. I have such a wide range of artists. Like I'll go from listening to like some like alternative music to like a Noah Kahan, like folk type music. Like
Wow.
I'll listen to like country music. I listen to some rap music. Big Gunna fan. Shout out Bree Beal. Like when we were in training camp, that's literally all we listened to for 3 weeks. Literally all we listened to.
Man,
Uh,
Minneapolis.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, Minneapolis.
Yeah,
Quite
that's
the
all.
place.
Whew. In 10 years, you want to be coaching? And if so, at what level?
10 years, I want to be coaching college basketball.
Yes. Man, maybe we'd
Yeah,
be on the same staff.
that'd be pretty cool.
Ooh, you can go out
That'd
and
be pretty
watch all the players and do all the traveling, and then we'll
cool.
collab.
Yeah,
We'll collab on campus, and that'd be hella dope. For real.
that'd be sick. That'd be awesome.
For real. You'll be an amazing coach, whatever level it is. How'd you get
Thank
the
you.
nickname the mayor?
How to get a nickname. Shout out Kenny Brooks. He gave me that nickname. I think no, I do know. I pride myself in being a people person. I try to tell people I am an extrovert and I do talk a lot, but I don't actually like to talk that much. But I'm good at talking and I say things that people like to hear and that people can connect with. And so I talk. And when I got to Blacksburg, I was like, I mean, I'm only gonna be here for a year and I can either kind of be the kid that shows up and goes away, or I can kind of just like embrace where I'm at. And the people like embrace me very quickly. And so it's kind of one of those like jokes, like whatever T Soul says goes. And so he said that I could come back and like run for mayor and the people would vote for me. And then ever since then it was like some running joke. So I take
That's
great
great.
pride in my role. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, last question. So if you could have any 3 players or people just in life in general, like Gandhi or Oprah, whatever, at your dinner table, past or present, dead or alive, but that you never met before, who would be 3 people at your dinner table? Not Aaron
Mm.
Rodgers, ladies and
He would not be at the even if no, he would not be. He's not top 10 at the dinner table. I think I would have Rosa Parks. I think I'd have Rosa Parks at my dinner table. I would have
You're one
um
of the few people out of the nearly 200 episodes that named a woman first. Just
really
for the record, even women. They always name either Obama or men first.
Obama's a
Interesting.
solid one. I definitely thought about Obama, but Rosa Parks would definitely be one of them. Martin Luther King, the owner of and founder of Athletes Unlimited, he said Martin Luther King, and I thought that was pretty cool because the things that he would learn from him. And I think the third person that I would have at my dinner table, past or present, that I have never met before, Bob Marley.
Hmm,
Mm,
solid.
teach me something. Give
Who
me
would
some
be
wisdom.
number 4?
Number 4 would be Helen Keller. I
Ooh,
have
great answer.
questions. I have lots of questions for her.
Who could
Lots of
who
questions.
who could do that like back then?
I just don't I believe everything, but I need video evidence that she was a real person. I need somebody to I need pictures. I need something.
Man.
I don't know.
I
If you
mean,
can't see,
I think the two harder things to learn that just thinking about it are Morse code and Braille. Like to learn by feeling, the dot, whatever, whatever it's called, Braille. It's called Braille.
yeah,
And just Morse code, military all have to learn Morse code,
yeah,
for emergencies because they could wink if they're in captivity or,
yeah.
but yeah, I mean, unbelievable.
I don't
Great
know.
answer.
Yeah, that too.
Well, shout out to the mayor, ladies and gentlemen. How are things going overseas? Besides,
We,
the once a week thing. Like, wait, how much time do you have left?
we got like 2 more games and then we're like halfway done.
Oh,
We got
you
yeah,
back? You coming
it's
back for the holiday or you staying there?
staying here. We only got like 2 days off during Christmas and then
Okay.
have like a week off towards the end of January and then it's like all the way up until April, like end of April, like literally like right up until training camp. Like I go straight here to hopefully to some training camp somewhere. So it does not stop.
So there's been some activity with the agent or not yet? It's too early.
Yeah, he's had some talks with some teams. Right now it's like you're doing the business stuff and my business is playing good basketball and shooting the three. That's what people want to see. Like staying out of foul trouble, shooting a three. And in the meantime, just like getting reps in with things I gotta work on. So fingers crossed. I have good faith that good things will work out. And if not, I mean that's what's like next steps is like, okay, don't make a team, kind of what I do with my summer. So we're gonna see. It's crazy, crazy professional route.
Athletes Unlimited too, maybe?
I would definitely do that. I talked to Natasha Cloud a little bit about that, and trying to get into at some point doing that because I like what they're doing basketball wise, but even some of the charities outside I think are really cool.
Do they clip your stuff there where you can just see the 10 times you touched it, or do you have to watch the whole game and do it yourself, or how does it work out there?
I honestly don't know. I mean, we have like our assistant coach, like he clips up stuff, but it's not like one of those like it goes into synergy and it's this possession and this possession sort of
Right, right,
thing.
right.
So more effort that has to go into it, but it can be done.
I mean, let me know. I know some agents they don't want, whatever outside people because they're the ones that actually watch film with you, or they're the ones
Mm,
training you, that kind of thing. But whatever I can do, I'm not just saying it because it's a show. Like literally, it's what I love to do. No shade on my players who can't barely dribble, pass, shoot, don't know the rules, and when we work on airball rebounds and
they're the
handoffs,
hardest.
they are. One of my girls ran
Yeah,
into a pole today.
they're honestly the worst. I probably get yelled at the most on an air ball missed rebound. But who knows? You just never anticipate somebody to airball a shot.
Well,
Just
you
never
do with
do.
us. That's why we run it. And we've won 2 straight league titles in large part because of the airball rebounding drills, ladies and gentlemen.
Good, good. I'll suggest it.
Right. Yeah, you may. Well, shit.
Yeah.
Well, hey, anything else for the good of the cause? Anything else? Man, can't thank you enough for making the time. Sorry it took a while to finally get it going. But we are both solution oriented, and man, your journey's been amazing. I can't wait to continue to follow you. And like I mean it, I don't know who I'm going to be on the sideline with. I just want to be on the sideline with someone who truly believes in harmony, and I want to be like in awe every day when I go to practice, like you were with Coach Brooke. Like I just wanted to learn every day, even if I'm close to being in my 60s at that point, like, and just be a part of something that you understand more than I do, of how to be a part of something much bigger than yourself, and
I
how
absolutely love it.
enjoyable the day to day is, not just like getting to the Final Four and that's the only thing you enjoy, right? Like it's just the
Yeah.
process.
I love that. I can hear it in your voice. I manifest and I'm gonna pray on it that it happens for you because you seem like the type of person that deserves and the sport needs more of. So I'm grateful that I was able to hop on here with you and everything that you do, from inviting me to be on calls with the Cheryl Miller and the founder of Athletes Unlimited. So I appreciate you. Anything you need from me, you know where to find me now. So I appreciate you.
I don't know how in the hell all that happened that you just talked about. Like
I don't know.
literally, this show started as me talking shit about sports, and then I realized after George Floyd that I can't talk about stuff anymore that's irrelevant an hour and a half later. Like I
Mm.
can't do it as a white Jewish guy. Like I literally I cannot in good conscience do it. And someone in the women's space, that I am, to not leverage my platform and talk shit about people that aren't leveraging their platform, and not, at least, not preach, but at least bring some receipts. I
Mm.
just felt like I had to pivot, as overused as that term is.
Well, look at that. It's appropriate. You're doing good.
Shout out
You're
to
doing good.
Juju Watkins. Shout out to Paige Beckers, Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, and the mayor, ladies and gentlemen.
And the mayor.
Hey, until next time, much love to you. Happy holidays, and hit me up. I'm here. I would love to stop the presses and do anything I can to help, you get to that next level. So
For sure. Work on that pace. I appreciate you.
absolutely. Yeah, you gotta be convincing. I'll go like this to my players all the time, and they always look. They know what I'm doing. The defender doesn't know.
Yeah, that's true.
The defender doesn't. I'll be right there. Hold on a second. They don't know. It's a con
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
If you're just going straight to the rack and it's just it's an obvious situation, let it fly, fine.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's a con job.
Yeah. And we all
Set up.
fall for it.
Yeah, but not everyone tries to master the con job.
Yeah.
And when you do, and you get the defender to be disarmed, you
Yeah.
got him. As
True.
long as you got the counters.
True. And you gotta finish or make a good pass.
Yes,
You
right.
can't have you can't have $1 million con job in a 5-cent finish.
I agree. Or
Don't
the
work like
pass is
that.
over here.
Yeah. No shooter likes that.
Man, they'll give you the gas face.
What? What?
What kind of pass was that?
My bad. My bad.
Yeah, exactly. My bad. My
It
bad.
was your bad.
Yeah, I know. I know it was your bad. It wasn't my bad. The fuck?
That's too good. Too good.
Oh man. All right. Talk soon. Much love, and we'll catch up. We'll catch you up on the flip side. And happy New Year. Happy holidays.
For sure. Well, I appreciate you. Have a good one.
All right. Sounds good. Feel better.
Peace. Thank you.
Taylor Soule, ladies and gentlemen, former BC star and Virginia Tech Hokie, Final Four participant, Chicago Sky member, and now playing in Italy. What a great conversation. I know it was long, but if you stayed with us all the way until the end, what a beautiful spirit. What a great soul, literally and figuratively. And truly hope you guys have an amazing holiday. Ladies, have an amazing holiday. And again, remember, this sport wouldn't be what it was without the incredible women who fought for Title IX and all of those original W players from the WBL, the Women's Basketball League. Shout out to them. Shout out to all the ABL players from the American Basketball League that led us to where we are today with the WNBA. Until next time, I'm Hootie Hoot, host and producer of the Sports Daily Podcast. Can't thank you enough for joining us today. We hope we added some sort of value, brought some sort of inspiration, motivation, education, transformation, and maybe a little comedic relief. And until next time, much love, everybody. Peace. Thanks for joining us today again, everyone. And here are today's outtakes.
Yes.
There's always a way. You know what I'm saying?
There's always a way. It's wow, that was a little adventure, but it makes this all worthwhile then.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not about excuses. I tell
Oh
my
my
daughter all the
gosh.
time. You know what I'm saying? Like, figure it out.
What did my coach at Boston College used to say? I think she said excuses or like what was it? It was like excuses are like bad friends or something like that. Like we all got them. It's like what are you gonna do with them? Like just gotta forget about them.
Well, I think people that enjoy the process more, they enjoy figuring out solutions because we all have our moment of sort of shut down mode
Yeah.
for a multitude of reasons. But if you thrive in solutions, whether it's in a game or in life, like,
Just it works out. It feels better. See, now that we're on this, it's like, okay, all this hard work. I really have no idea. I've never had a Zoom be that like difficult with me. I was like, what is going on? Like, I thought maybe it's because I was in Italy, my phone was tweaking. I was like, maybe I gotta turn my phone off. I don't know. So I appreciate you sending me
oh,
multiple
heck yeah.
links.
When I started coaching women in 2008, there was a learning curve after 15 years on the men's side.
Yeah. What do you think the biggest difference was?
Mm, well, there's a couple. The movements that your body allows you to do in a lot of
True.
instances. And then, there's no post play in the NBA and in the men's
Yeah,
game.
that's very true.
It's a huge part of the women's game still.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I don't know. I had pushback. I had resistance when I first started. I thought I was pretty understanding. I think now that they've circled back and apologized 15 years later,
Mhm.
I wasn't looking for it, but it's nice that they were able to reflect. One of them cried.
We do
And
that.
I randomly saw her at the beach, and she was like, "I'm really sorry. Like, I was an a-hole, and you really tried to help me go D1, and I blew it."
Dang.
Yeah.
Dang.
So, that's all you're
Tough
trying to
pill.
do. Yeah, that's all you're trying to do is help them put better tools in their toolbox. And she was 5'6", averaging a double-double. I mean,
She was cold.
she was probably the toughest player I've ever coached, just like hard. Like
Yeah.
hard, like hard, like old school, like what? Like what? Like no matter, like in a second.
Yeah. You're like, okay.
Did not care. Yeah. So how's everything going there?
Everything's good. I'm getting over being sick. So that wasn't too great. So I missed our game yesterday. So never fun when that happens. But we play again just every Sunday. So we got
Yeah.
a week of practice until the next one. So next couple ones are some important games. So gotta win those.
My former player played in Germany and then Barcelona. And that once a week thing is so, I don't know, man, like so much downtime. It's like football. That's as much as I love football, like I don't know how they do it. And then there's a bye week. You got to wait 2 weeks for a game. How's that 3-point shot coming?
Pretty solid. I think I shoot like 35% from three right now. So trying to get it up there. Honestly, right now it's just like taking the shots. I think for so long and like wherever it was, BC, Virginia Tech, WNBA for a little bit, like it just wasn't necessarily always in my game or like in confidence to shoot it. And so just like getting the mental block out of there and just like just shoot the ball. Like everybody else misses shots. Like you can be one of them, but also just like make the shot. Like you do it all the time in practice. So like just do it in the game.
Do you get pushback because your form is different? I almost said weird.
It's a little funky. No, it's not pushback. I think
Because I know a lot of
They-
coaches are biased because they'll be like, it'll be like the, oh no, it'll be like the no, 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 and then, oh yeah, nice shot kind of thing with you. Whereas someone else, if it's always looking pure or with the lefties, it's always like,
True.
keep shooting. It's looking good.
Yeah, because
You know?
it looks good. No, I don't. My shot's just not. I think my shot's just on the verge of being not too funky. If it looks any funkier, I think yeah, there could be comments on that.
Right.
But I think the comments are more, hey, if we tweak this here or there, then it'll be more efficient of a shot. Not don't shoot the ball. So
Well, they won't say anything
Yeah.
from in tight or mid range because you've shown the consistency even though it's up here a little bit and a little bit
Yeah,
slower release. But from three, so I'm just saying, I'm not like that. If you're
no,
0 for 10 and you don't shoot the next one when you're wide open, I
yeah,
will take your ass out of the game for not shooting. I am dead serious.
no,
With
I
with
respect
players
that.
that can't shoot, my team shoots like 8%. I'm not exaggerating. You can go online also, and if you're interested in this shirt, for those of you watching on YouTube, you can purchase this shirt. It's around $32 or something like that. You can get it in orange, this color, or it's in gray. And they have a hoodie, they have long sleeves, so they have multiple options as well. We want to support women and the history of women's basketball in every sense of the word. So thanks again for joining us today, everybody. Much love. Talk soon. Peace. Thanks again for joining us today, everyone. Feel free to send me an email to thesportsdeli@gmail.com. Also, check out my link tree. It's /Mike Hootner. Also, like to thank a few people. 40 Tons brand is a socially conscious cannabis brand, and they're doing amazing things. Check them out. We'd also like to thank Moolah Kicks, the first ever female brand basketball shoe in the history of the world. We'd also like to encourage you if you're having a hard day and if you're feeling like you just don't want to live anymore, all you have to do is dial 988 from any phone, and there will be someone there 24/7, 365. So don't feel like you have to fight this battle alone. Don't forget to do your self-breast and self-testicular exams every month. It's really important as early detection is the key. Remember, Black Lives Matter. Reach out to your local and state politicians for any individual or group that you feel are being marginalized. Stop the bullying. Stop the Asian hate. Let's end gun violence with common sense laws. Let's be allies for the LGBTQIA+ community. And I challenge those of you in the white space to be anti-racist, to be bridges and vessels, to help bridge the gaps between black and white America. And remember, until next time, it takes a village, everyone. Much love.